Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with another match preview. This time, Manchester City against Aston Villa, which seems to be yet another massive game, another potential must-win game, the biggest game of the season. You name it, we've got them coming thick and fast at the moment. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. I think we're about 15 away from the big 5,500 subscribers, obviously on the road to 6K. So you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and get your comments in, your thoughts on Tuesday night's game against Manchester City. Martin, great to see you, mate. Another huge game on the horizon for Villa.
Yeah, and new intro there I see, which is always good. So all smiles and that, and all smiles for me. So I'm looking forward to this game tomorrow. I think this is the one time I'm actually confident going to Man City away.
Yes, mate. Yes, well, we'll get right into that shortly, but I can't let you get away. It's been a while since I've seen you, since we've done a preview on reaction. I've got to get your thoughts on Saturday's fantastic victory against Newcastle United, 4-1. I have been wearing my Villa shirt around Newcastle with pride these last few days, but yeah, I know it's obviously means a little bit more for me, but you must have been buzzing at that victory, mate.
Oh, you've no idea. I was watching it in my girlfriend's house, and I was just jumping every single chance I got. And literally, my girlfriend came in and goes, "Why do you keep jumping? Just look at the scoreline. Look how we're playing. Come on in." She's like, "No, I'm all right. I don't watch football." So I was like, "Right, okay, fair enough." And I just have to say that we outclassed them, outmuscled, completely bullied the midfield, which is supposed to be the best midfield in the league, and they were completely outclassed. I felt like it was one of them performances that you just knew was coming. We wanted a big performance against a side that's also challenging for a Champions League place, and we got it. I mean, Onana was incredible. Tielemans, Kamara, Matty Cash was great. It was a suitable game for Mings as well, someone to do a battle against Alexander Isak, who didn't even get a sniff in the game. So it was a really good, solid, pure muscular performance, if you ask me. Very dominant.
Yeah, and obviously this man had to get a little mention as well. Mr. Watkins, maybe a bit burnt from not starting against PSG, but he certainly showed Unai Emery that he's still the main man, potentially with a virtuoso performance, if I may say so myself.
Yeah, his whole of play was very good. I know we had a bit of a heated discussion with that a while ago, but no, I'll give credit where it's due. He made well for his goal. Probably could have scored one or two more. With the chances that he had, he was unlucky to hit the crossbar with a left foot finish, and then obviously hit the post from the header. And any other day maybe they could have gone posting in, and you would have talked about him having a hat trick. And his whole, like I said about his whole play, that was very good as well. He was really holding it up, getting the players into the game, and that's what kind of helped for one or two goals. Him holding it up on his own and bringing players into the game. And then just to go on to his interview, what he said after the game with Sky Sports, to the fact that he said he's fuming when he's not playing. That's good. That goes to show you have a bit of fire in your belly. But at the same time, with how it came across, a lot of people are kind of perceiving that, is he going to be there then in the summer? Our club's going to be sniffing around. There's always that speculation because you're in this end of the season. But I just think maybe it's a case for Ollie Watkins is he wants to play as many as games as possible, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with. He is one of the main, starters for a reason, and he wasn't in good form for a while, and now he's made good on the chance that he was given. So we'll have to wait and see what way they go about it tomorrow night.
Yeah, bang on, mate. Absolutely bang on. So we talk about that with regards to, number of players probably staking their claim for a starting position against Manchester City. Another massive game coming up. I mean, what are you expecting from this game? I mean, before we get into kind of starting lineups, just generally, but both teams in the hunt for top five. Villa putting themselves right back in it with beating Newcastle now with a massive opportunity to potentially get into that top four properly by beating Manchester City. It's set up for a proper game, this, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the expectation going into this one for me is to win. You know, a lot of fans would said they've taken 4 points from this. You as well, Rich. You said you take
Yeah.
absolutely 4
Yeah.
points from this. And so would I. That I'd absolutely take 4 points as well. But going up performance against Newcastle and the way Man City are currently, I think they've had real cherry picker games at this moment. So they've not really faced anyone that's challenged them as such. So I just think that we can get something out of this, in my opinion. They've no Haaland, there's no Rodri. I mean, Kevin De Bruyne is playing out of his skin at the minute, but at the same time, there's only so much he can do as well because the players that they're playing, they're all rotating everywhere. Foden's not with it. Bernardo Silva's not with it. It's a lot of things going wrong for Manchester City. But in saying that, a lot of things going wrong in Manchester City is still putting them in the top four of the competition. So it goes to show the quality that they have. But I think going off the performance that we had against Newcastle, I really do believe that our physicality can really outmuscle them, and I hope that's going to be the case. So for me, it's an expectation of not sitting back per se, but that typical away Emery performance that we were used to seeing. That just sitting a little bit back, soaking in a bit of pressure, and trying to catch them on the counter. Which that's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, no, I make you about right because we all know that Man City can still control the ball. We'll still have quite a lot of possession. Watch them against Everton; they didn't really move the ball around that quickly, but they still have players that can hurt you, and it's coming from a lot of their younger players. Nico O'Reilly's been doing very well. Some of the defenders, McAtee's been coming on and doing well. So Doku's not particularly old. He's been coming on and making an impact. So I expect some players maybe who wouldn't necessarily be the shining light, so to speak, almost like the new breed to potentially come through and make a name for themselves to Man City and be the dangerous players. They obviously came back and roaring back against Crystal Palace, I think, because they knew that they had to do that. They were a bit more pedestrian and sort of sat solid against Everton, but you've still got to be mindful of players that can produce big moments, haven't you? Still with Man City, even when they're not playing particularly well. You mentioned De Bruyne, you mentioned Silva, who's not been 100% on his game. Kovacic as well can come on. They've still got players that can turn up in the big moments, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you touch on the first bit of, they don't move the ball as quick because they don't have their outlet ball in Rodri, because he's been pretty much injured for the whole season. And when you have a defensive midfielder like him who's not playing, you're missing that anchor, you're missing that link from your defense to midfield to attack. And, and being a defensive midfielder, he stays in an area between, the 6 yard, the width of the 6 yard box, from length to length, and that's kind of where his area is staying to be that out ball, to get the ball to transition to the other side. And they're missing that completely. It's showing games where they're a bit slow in possession, they're not getting it to that midfielder, or they're missing that midfielder and they're losing the ball in such dangerous areas. And then you go on about their young players. I think Nico O'Reilly, I think he's a fantastic player. He's absolutely quality on his day. He's really good at being a player, very composed on the ball. James McAtee looks great, but there's rumours about him leaving in the summer. Maybe if it's on loan or a permanent move because he wants more game time. And that's nothing wrong with that. He's at that stage now of his career and he needs to make a choice. Does he stay and, do a development with Pep Guardiola, or does he do what Cole Palmer did and makes a move, albeit not to Chelsea, but just anywhere else, he's going to get game time. A Morgan Rogers who leaves from Middlesbrough and gets numerous of game times. You look at other players as well who've been in that where they've left Manchester City and they've had to go get themselves game time to develop for their careers. So, but they do as well also have big players that turn up in the big moments. Kovacic always seems to do well against us, albeit he didn't do well in Villa Park last time out, but he still turns up when he's in the Etihad. De Bruyne, form is temporary, but class is permanent for him, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's one of them things where, he'll turn up at this end of the season because he knows he's leaving, so he wants to leave on a high note. So that's something maybe we're going to have to be wary of.
Yeah, absolutely, mate, absolutely. So, with regards to Villa, I don't attempt anything with your starting lineup yet, but you talked about kind of being solid at the back and maybe catching them on the break. Are you expecting sort of pacey players then to be operating? I know Rodgers will probably play, and Pep Guardiola's sort of talked up Rodgers a lot in terms of saying that he saw moments of his ability when he was at Manchester City, but now to see how much he's developed, it was kind of almost a wow moment. So, the way he can carry the ball, the way that Jacob Ramsey can carry the ball, maybe Rashford's pace, Marlon's pace. Are you expecting kind of more of that impact for Villa in terms of trying to catch them on the transition, as people like to call it now, which is essentially when teams give the ball away?
No, I wouldn't say I'd be looking at pace because they do have quite pacey fullbacks, Manchester City. I'd be more looking at players who can get them on the break and make smart decisions, in my opinion, with a Morgan Rogers, a Tielemans coming into that link as well. I think I'd be looking at sort of them players who are physical as well to be able to push a player off the ball. That's the type of style I'd be looking at. Players that can make smart decisions in the attacking third to really cash them out, or from the midfield as well to get that pass into such dangerous areas. That'll be the one I'll be looking at because Man City are a pressing team, so it's going to be a case for me to try and break that press and really try to drag them out of position.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's have a look at your predicted lineup. You're much criticized, or we call it feedback. That's what we call it. I mean, you put in your neck on the line. Appreciate that, Martin, because it's not easy to pick a starting lineup at the moment with Aston Villa. I mean, I guess before you obviously given a taste of it there, but before you talk it through, just in regards to the squad of players that Unai Emery has at his disposal. I mean, the other day he's had to talk about, having a conversation with Leon Bailey, Pau Torres, and Lamar Bogard about them not being in the matchday squad. I mean, this is unprecedented for Aston Villa to have, a first 11 of his first choice for that particular game, a substitutes bench of his first choice without any injuries, and having to leave out international quality players out of the matchday squad. I mean, that is unprecedented time for Aston Villa to have that strength in depth.
Yeah, it really does shit on Martin O'Neill's squad altogether, doesn't it? Excuse my French, but I just think that the players also understand that they're going into a game tactically what's best for results, to get the wins, to what type of game they're going into. Like at Newcastle, you want to go into that game with physicality, so you want to have physical players. You're coming up against a Brighton, you want to have players who are fast on the break because they like to press high forward but don't have exactly quick fullbacks. Then you're looking at the Forest game there, you want players who are going to make runs in behind for that one because they like to sit a bit deep, so you want to make the runs in behind to make the space for the cutbacks. These are all scenarios that Unai Emery has now at his disposal, and I think these players are understanding that. You always maybe run into these clashes of why am I not playing, and it's okay to say that. It's okay to be fuming of why you didn't play. I understand that they want to play every single game possible, but at the same time, I think they're now starting to take an understanding of, right, maybe I don't suit this game, absolutely no problem. And then you look at the game next week where the gaffer might tell them, this is the game you're going to suit, and they'll be up and ready for it, So, and it's also a case of using the squad effectively to not try and get too many injuries like we had at the start of the season. When we had Onana out, Barkley, Pau Torres was out for a while. We've had, our attacking players as well out for a while at some stage in the season too. So these are all things that are starting to fall back into place for us, and I think this run-in has fallen at a perfect time for us, for players to come back fit and ready and, well rested at times. So there's plenty of energy to go around in the squad.
Yeah, and we've said it before. The substitutions that he makes can almost have a bigger impact as the ones that start. I mean, it was brilliant on Saturday in the fact that we started the game so well with a goal straight away. We made we went 2-1 up, and then we made the substitutions and went 4-1 up. So that's the double whammy. the starting team having an impact and the substitution having an impact, but he's got the best of both worlds, because if we're losing or we're drawing, he knows he can make some fantastic substitutes who can totally change the game for him. So it's an absolute win for Unai Emery. Now, anyway, let's get your lineup up. Talk us through what you've gone with and why, mate.
Well, look, the goalkeeper needs no introductions. Emi Martinez, he's staying where he's staying. I've gone with a back four of Cash, Konza, Torres, and Digne for the simple reason of when I talked about, trying to be players on the press, that's where Torres comes in, that anchor and link to make the ball into midfield, to get them in between the lines into a Kamara or an Onana, who can then make that decision to try and link with, McGinn, a Rodgers, and an Ollie Watkins, and a Yuri Tillemans. And the reason I've gone with Cash and being at full back is because Man City wingers aren't exactly quick in pace. There is a bit of pace to them, of course. I'm not saying that there isn't, but they don't set the world of lightning pace, if you know what I mean. So, and I think Matty Cash and Digne will deal with that absolutely perfectly, in my opinion. Where, although I do love Ian Maatsen, but Ian Maatsen is a very attacking fullback and attack-minded, where Digne has that combination and experience of both now. So I think he plays in that perfectly, and I think Matty Cash, I think this is a game suited to him to try and, do overlapping runs going past McGinn, and to bring McGinn then into the equation. When I talk about smart decisions, John McGinn is very good at getting the ball on the right-hand side and trying to switch over to the opposite side, which is where Rodgers and Ollie Watkins can then decide to link up. So I think this lineup will be one for me. I know I put my neck out on the line, and I love to get the constructive feedback from the fans and all the comments that I see. So, but like I said, I love to see you all do it and see how you get on. But, with the squad at our disposal, it's so hard to do. Some people always like to say, oh, maybe this player should go in, or maybe that player should go in. And then you see the squad and none of their players go in, or one of their players go in.
Yeah.
So, even they're wrong. We're all wrong. But, at the same time, there really is no wrong lineup in this game.
It's all fun. It's all fun and games. So, yeah, if we look at that, that's what, 3 changes from the one that started against Newcastle. Onana didn't start, did he? Torres didn't start. Luka Dean didn't start. So, yeah, I would probably say that's pretty close to what I would say. I mean, Rodgers he plays every game. Tillemans plays every game. McGinn will play. I'm sure he'll get 65 minutes out of him, and then run himself into the ground. Yeah, Watkins obviously I think has done enough to start this game. I don't think it would be great management to put Rashford straight in, or unless he plays Rashford off the left, in which case I don't think he would do that in a game like Man City away.
No.
So yeah, I tend to agree with you with that lineup. I don't see any other issue. You've also got great options off the bench. You've got Ramsey to come on. You've got Asensio to come on, Rashford, Marlon. You've got so many options. You've got Ross Barkley who could come on as well. So you've got lots and lots of options there to choose from. So yeah, I think that's for me somewhere about right. I think you could be hitting the nail on the head there, Martin, with your predicted lineup. We'll get it out on X later on, and we'll see how we go. Get your predictions in, people, with regards to the starting lineup as well. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and we'll get your score predictions shortly. But I think as it stands, as we're recording this, I think Tottenham are losing 2-1 to Nottingham Forest. So we'll bring the running up. But as it stands, Nottingham Forest will go back up into 3rd position on 60 points, back 3 points ahead of Villa and actually Chelsea, and obviously 2 points ahead of Man City and 1 point ahead of Newcastle. So yeah, it's getting it's very tight up there, and there's obviously still quite a lot of points to play for, a lot of football to be played. But where are you seeing the running right now? How are you assessing Aston Villa's chances right now?
I think for me, if you beat Man City, I think we're gonna get that top 5, in my opinion. I think Bournemouth and Fulham, I know are 2 games that might be tricky as well, but I think we'll have a bit too much for Fulham, and Bournemouth away is probably going to be a tricky one. So for me, the 2 games that are going to really affect our season is going to be Man City away and Bournemouth away. And then I think if we can get 4 points out of them 2 games, I think we can get fourth to third maybe. Of course, then when we look at Chelsea's fixtures, who still have to play Liverpool and a Newcastle and a Forest, so they kind of have teams that are in around them, and they haven't been great at all. So they might fold. That kind of brings them down. And then I look at Forest's fixtures. I know that they have the teams in the bottom half of the table, apart from Chelsea, of course. But I just think that I think that Palace away game is going to be something that might affect Forest because Palace have been really good at home this season. Man City, the their deciding factor is probably going to be us and Bournemouth as well. When you look at their fixture, they're kind of similar to us. Newcastle have, two tough fixtures there in Brighton and Arsenal, and of course Chelsea as well. And then I know I included Fulham, Bournemouth, and Brighton onto this list, but at the same time they could get that final Conference League spot. So it's definitely a European run in, that's for sure. And it's going to be tricky. But I think if Villa get past Man City here and get something against Bournemouth, I think we can get fourth to third place because other teams are probably going to drop points somewhere.
Yeah, I think we need a minimum of 12 points from the next 5 games to hit it. I think that's what we'd be looking at, really. That puts us on 69 points. I think that would be enough, in my opinion, for top 5. Purely on the basis of what you've said there, with a couple of teams that have to play against each other who will take points off each other, and then the likes of playing Liverpool and Arsenal for Newcastle and a couple of other. I think maybe Chelsea have got one of those teams as well. So I think that's what we're looking at, really. You just can't afford to drop any silly points, and that's where the pressure will ramp up. I think where we've got a great situation is the fact that we've got so many players that we can choose from, and it's not as if anyone who comes in is going to weaken the side. Anyone who comes off the bench is going to be any real drop off. With all due respect to Newcastle, they had to play the same 11 for six or 7 matches in a row, and they're gonna suffer because the subs that they bring on, apart from say Anthony Gordon, aren't really as good as the ones that are on the pitch at the present time. And that could be said about a couple of other teams in this running as well. So, it is going to be very difficult. I do feel like there will be 1 or 2 points dropped from a team off against a team that they should, in theory, be beating. But I think 12 points. If we can get 12 points from the next 5 games, I think that'll go some way to getting it done. But obviously, if we get beat on Tuesday against City, that puts the pressure on because you really do have to win the last 4 games of the season to have any chance.
Yeah, 100% agree. Like I think for me, I think we can get 15 points. I really do. So I just think that the form that we're in, I think we can beat absolutely anybody, and that includes Man City away, that includes Fulham, that includes Bournemouth, Spurs, and Man United. So I really do think 15 points is realistic. I know some people might look at me funny and say, "Oh, we can't win every game." Why not? We've in our last 10 games, we won 9 and lost 1, which unfortunately knocked us out of the Champions League. But we're the best informed team in Europe right now, which is being shown. So I don't see why we can't win 5 games in a row.
Yeah, if we play well, in every game, we know it. If we play to our standards, we know it. We just gotta, anything can happen in these games. That's the problem. You could get a penalty given against you. You could get a sending off that could be a bad decision. Anything can happen in these games. You just have to make sure that you do, you do your level best. And tomorrow against City, we just need, like you said, be solid, be organised, and stay in the game and take our chances when they come, because Pep Guardiola has said it's going to be like a final. They have to treat it like a final. So this is a huge game for both teams. And he's wary of Aston Villa. We've already beaten them this season. We could do the double over them this season. But also he'll be putting a lot of effort into this game because he knows how important it is.
Absolutely, he's no stranger to the tactics that we play. We're obviously on his radar of such that he's not going to take this game lightly. This is not a game where he can rotate players. He needs to play as strong as 11 possible and one that's going to get the job done. So I think for us, it's also going to be that case, where it's not going to be an easy game. We know it's not going to be an easy game. We don't exactly have a good record in the Etihad, but I think that we can definitely get something out of this game, with the form that Man City are in, the season that they're having. I just think that we can definitely get something out of this game with the form that we're in too.
Yeah. Well, we'll finish up now, mate. But before we do, make sure you smash a like on the video, people. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. And most importantly, comment with your score predictions and scorers. Well, I've sensed people are going to be pretty positive in the comments. And like you said, the opportunity to pick up a result at a ground that we haven't done very well at. And it's probably, the best opportunity right now to do that with the form that we're in and the team that we've got and the situation that Man City find themselves in right now. So what is your score prediction for Tuesday night's game against Man City, mate? Score and scorers.
I'm going to go with Man City 1, Aston Villa 3. I'm going for a big one. Go big or go home. I think the goal scorers are going to be, I'm going to say Kevin De Bruyne for Man City. I'm going to go with Ollie Watkins to get a goal. I'm going to go with Morgan Rogers to get a goal. And I'm going to go with Daniel Malen from the bench.
Lovely. Ollie Watkins, of course, if he scores, he will officially break Gabby Agbonlaho's record and be Aston Villa's all-time leading Premier League goal scorer. I think that'll take it to 75. Be great if he stuck with us and could get to that 100 Premier League goals for Aston Villa. That would be fantastic. We will wait and see if that happens. I'm going to go with a 2-2 draw. I'm going to say we'll get a 2-2 draw, and I think Watkins will score, and I think Morgan Rogers will score at his old club. But I don't think we'll quite get the victory, but we'll get a good draw out of it, and then take us into the cup semi-final against Crystal Palace in good form, good spirits, and then get our place in the final and confirm our place then in the Europa League. I think that would do pretty much. So that would be good. Martin, I think that's done us. Lovely preview. We're all in pretty positive spirits. Looking forward to this game. It's going to be a huge game, and hopefully your predictions right ahead of mine. But I'll settle for mine as well. We shall see. As I said, guys, get your comments in, your thoughts on what you think the score is going to be, and yeah, we'll be back with an instant reaction, potentially full match reaction. We've obviously got big previews for the FA Cup semi-final coming as well. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel. Martin, great to see you again. Thank you for joining us. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa.